Good morning, Johnny boy.
Good morning, Michael.
Another day of the Business Babble.
Another day, another early start, ready to rock and roll. After a fantastic vacation, as we say.
There was a little mini retirement happened.
A mini break at the weekend, which was lovely. I think you need them.
Oh, you definitely need them.
I think it was one of the best breaks I've had in a long time.
Oh, that's good.
It was a belly full of laughs. But the only other problem was it was a belly full of alcohol.
Aye, so we need another week or so just to get over that one.
Just a recovery.
So a little bit rough this morning, not going to lie. But we're over in Munich for a Guns N' Roses concert.
Yeah, it was amazing. Really good. Well done to the guys. I think they're all about 103 now.
Aye.
But they did well for 3 hours.
Apart from the drummer, he looked a bit younger.
Oh, that's true. A change of drummer. You see these bands now, they still call them the same name, but they've got maybe 3 different people in the band. But an outstanding performance from them, and a really, really the waves are still coming.
That was good. Weather was good. Festival on the next day was good. So encourage everybody, get away.
It is important. You know, when you think about it, we were talking about this. When you're in business and, you know, it's busy, all these other things, and it's exciting and it's sometimes lonely. But if you can maybe knock a day off your week, Friday to a Sunday, go away with your partner, go away with the kids, go away with your mates, just to somewhere. And it doesn't actually have to break the bank. It can be something really, really cheap. And it's just nice to get away from the 4 walls, get away from the emails, the phone calls, and just go enjoy yourself. Because let's face it, that's what we do it for. We just don't do it just to make money all the time and wake up, go to work, go back home, sleep. You want to see things, do things, taste those foods and have those different experiences.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be abroad. You can do things quite local.
Yeah, you can.
It's just switching off. You need to be able to switch off. We've talked about that a few times, but
so since we've been away, there's been a bit of a political shift. That's one thing, and then we've been reading about how businesses are having to pivot.
Yep.
And one of the big retail outlets that's now closing its doors, or so to speak, it's closing some of its doors at risk. River Island.
Yeah. And that's quite a big one. So that's about, I think they're looking at about 33 places shutting down stores, which is quite a major one. I mean, that is a major decision, a major pivot, but it's obviously come around.
Well, you think, so what they were saying, there was £33.2 million in losses last year. Now that brings it 19% down, so that was, I think they were saying about 578 million, but that's pre-tax. So you've still got all of that to come off.
Yep.
So 90% dropping. You know, you look at River Island, and it's been there since I grew up, but it used to be River Island and Next. But look how much Next has pivoted. I know Next was, in my opinion, was more for the older people. River Island was for younger. But River Island, to my knowledge, has never changed. And you don't want companies to go under. You don't want that, because that's the risk of losing thousands of jobs. Then again, thousands of contributions to national insurance and tax. So it's where the government, it's where these companies try and help. You know, what's the difference between River Island and Next? I find Next models fantastic. They've got collaborations, so they've got coffee. So I think they've got Costa Coffee, so they've done a collaboration there. They've got bigger units now, so they're in the big retail space where you've got B&Q, so it's easy to get in there. They've got the homeware in there. Their online presence is huge as well. So they've obviously pivoted a lot to ensure that they don't struggle in a sense. There's no demise in their profitability. But I feel that for River Island. What's your thoughts?
Well, it is. I mean, it's just big decisions that have to be made. That's a lot of job losses, and that'll not be taken easily. But you look at the budget that was there that put increases in national insurance and minimum wage going up, and that's all fantastic on one side, but businesses have to find that money. And
rent.
Yeah.
Rent reviews as well.
All of that.
The landlords are paying more for their interest, for the
rates.
mortgages.
When you're talking about being in big areas and business centres, and the rates that you have to pay nowadays in high street ones are just absolutely ridiculous, and you're trying to get a business running and be profitable, and it's very difficult if that's where you've got to position yourself.
So like when these things are happening just now, you already know it's like they're enforcing this recession to happen, because once it's broken, boom, we start at the bottom again.
Resets a bit, yeah.
Reset it and then build it back up again. Because I think we've just been in this recession for quite a while now.
There's been a downturn. There's an absolute squeeze going on just now. And then you've got things like obviously Iran and Israel and the US stuff happening there, and that'll have an effect. We don't know exactly the impacts that'll have, but prices will go up. And as much as there's maybe opportunities as well for some people, but it just puts a bit of fear, I think, and there's no confidence in your consumers spending money. Everything just starts to slow down a bit, and as a business, depending on what sector you're in, you'll feel that. And it's just, you have to adjust the business to suit, and this is where looking forward and having your projections are quite key, and looking at the scenarios. What's the worst case scenario? If you start to lose X amount of customers and stuff like that, what do you do? So I think having a plan, just having some idea of what you could do if this scenario happened or that scenario happened, at least then you're not just caught flat on your feet if something does go.
Well, you take these big organisations, right? Now, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here.
It's not like you, John.
I know, it's not like me. Especially when I'm tired. You take any business that's employing lots of staff, right? That's where the cost is going, a lot of it, with the NI contributions, tax, la-di-da-di-da. So, there's a line that looking at this. When you have an employee, you've got them, so to speak. You've got them because they get looked after, they get their holidays, pension contributions, and they work 9 to 5, let's just say. Now somebody that's self-employed, they have to work for their money every week, every month, because they've got something to prove. But then they can turn up, they don't have to turn up to work. However, you see, if you actually kept that culture and you made them feel valuable, they'll get a little bit on top more, but they've got extra costs. It's offsetting those costs against your national insurance and all the other things that comes with it. But if you've got a safe place, a great place to work where you're recognised for your efforts, then why is not everybody self-employed? Because good salesmen, they're all self-employed. They get a standard fee, but they have to work at it.
I think it's a shift. Excuse me, it's a shift in the mindset. But like we were at a dinner, it's a boardroom thing with Entrepreneur Scotland that we do, and there was a guest, and it was Becky Lumsden, who's got Pure Spa and Beauty, and she's made like a massive decision to pivot, and she's put basically all her masseurs and the staff that they had over 200 staff there, and they've been, apart from the management side of things, but the on the ground workers are now all self-employed.
Oh wow.
So that's
right, okay.
On the face of it, when the discussion started, it's like that's a massive decision to make, and there's loads of threats there. You've got people that are now working for themselves who could get quite comfortable and see the benefits of all that, to then they could move away and just go and do their own thing. Just the logistics of shifting that, because that's now their own, the clients they have are their own clients now. And if they wake up on a Tuesday and decide I'm just not going to go in, it's their decision, it's their business now.
But the thing is, there's always the pros and cons for looking at things.
Yeah.
But in my head, and I'd imagine in your head as well, I'm thinking, what a bold move, but what a tremendous move. She's obviously, what's her name again?
It's Becky Lumsden.
Becky Lumsden, well done to you.
Aye.
For to have that initiative and to have that, you're attacking a bit of a fear.
Yeah.
Because every company, a lot of people say they've got a good culture, and a lot of them will, but there's always the 1 or 2 cancerous ones, or 3 or 4, and you're saying she's got 200 staff.
Over 200 staff, yeah, so...
That's a bold move, that's a tremendous move.
But I mean, as the conversation's going on, you can see they've had to do something because the costs are going through the roof with the budget. And then I suppose like the culture was really good. They've got a really good culture, and they're empowering all these people now. They're like mini franchises, is how she's described it. So they're there helping them. Mm-hmm. And it was a bit like we were talking earlier about when Cuddy was on about the fact that when he was working for
Royal Caribbean,
they've got, you know, the training that they get is the best training, and you could train somebody up so that they can work anywhere, but they're not going to leave because everything's as good where it is, and that there's a definite philosophy of that with what Becky's trying to do as well. So they're empowering all these people, and they'll be making more money as well now because they're working for themselves. They're going to have to pay their tax and stuff like that, but I think that there's a lot of benefits there for them.
I mean, what is the? I think people that want to work for themselves, to have that initial thought, oh, it's too scary. I just need my standard wage. But then when somebody's in their job, they always want a little bit more. But then what happens is you have to give a little bit more, or you have to take on more responsibility. Never come to someone and say, I want more money, I need more money. Well, it doesn't work that way. If you threaten me with your job, like you're going to leave your job, right, then already you're just showing me that you're not valuable enough to me. You're holding me, you know, you're blackmailing me. But
they've got a situation there, I think, where, I mean, not everybody wants to be a business owner. You know,
no.
People want to just come in and have a security of having a job there, not have all that behind them. But they've obviously managed to support them, and give them the reassurances that this is something that will work. And then off the back of that, you're working with a system that they've already got in place. They will have had to adapt it, I would imagine. We didn't get into all the intricacies of all that, but there'll be a lot of things they're going to have to shift and just reevaluate as to how they do things within that whole business to accommodate now how they're working with that business model. But the more the conversation went on, it's like that's actually, it's not like genius thinking that you've got staff there that's costing you a fortune and self-employment's an option. It's just how that actually works in real time. But they seem to have absolutely got it nailed it on the head. Well,
it's how to work it legally.
Well, there's all that as well. You know, there's a lot into it. There's a lot goes into that kind of decision in a business that size. But
and again, as we've discussed here, it's the mindset as well to get everybody on board, to understand it. Because we all know when you get a brown envelope coming through from HMRC, you're like, oh, what's happening here? And some people just take it like a duck to water. Right, I'll do this, and I'll get that sorted. Where these people, or some of those people that just go into self-employment, don't understand, and maybe a little bit of anxiety with it. Oh, how does that work? How does my NI contributions work? How does my taxation work? When do I pay my tax? Trying to understand it. So if she's created that as well for them, then I'm thinking that's tremendous. Somebody that's pivoted a business of that size, well done. Absolutely well done.
And you're looking at the other side of that coin where if you don't look at these things and think out the box a little bit on how you can actually go forward and pivot, then you're in a situation where River Island are just now, excuse me, and that, you know, you've got massive losses. And if you're on that road, you know, there's the only one outcome of that is that you're going to have to shut shop.
Just to go back here, talking about this spa. When you've got good stuff, like, so you employ someone, you want them to do the job right, and you want them to make your client feel special, the client journey.
Yep.
What better way to do it than to put the person self-employed and have to, and I mean this in the nicest way, fight for their money, fight for their client retention. So they're, even if they might be tired, even if they're, you know, it's longer a day, they'll still try and make them feel special because it's their money that they're giving them and they own that money. Now, for the business point of view model, they give them a clean, palatial place for a spa, nice music, nice towels, to do all that. That's their job. So it's kind of like they're hiring out their room. It's like a hairdresser.
Yeah, it's more. I think the model's more like they've got many franchises, lots of many franchises within their businesses, and with that becomes the business model that you've got, and you know you've built that over all these years. Is that you're getting the benefit of all of that. So all the infrastructure that's in place to help you do your job when you walk in there, is already there. So they're facilitating a lot of that for you as your own business. So starting up on your own, that's as good a start, I reckon, as you can get, as well as the backup behind all that you're going to get, and the support. Very good anyway. It was interesting conversations.
It's very, honestly, I think that's been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So River Island then?
Well, see with River Island, you can look at in the past, you might not be old enough to remember it all, but Blockbusters.
I remember Blockbusters.
Blockbusters are always a go-to, but they were the main one. When you wanted to watch films, you went and rented a DVD or a VHS or Betamax.
A VHS tape.
Aye, not a DVD, it's even older than that.
I know, just saying.
So that's what you did, and you could go and rent your films for a couple of nights and drop it back off again, and this was the go-to. And then obviously as the internet became a bit better and live streaming became a big thing, then that was a threat to them, but they just didn't look at that and realise that and didn't pivot, because they could have went down that line as well.
Yeah.
And then your Netflix and stuff come along, and it's, it absolutely wiped them out. So being one of the biggest things going, to just wiped off the face of the earth very quickly.
It's like you only get a chance at the top. You get a chance at the top, but you don't get there long unless you're constantly working at it.
Evolving, yeah.
And that's the difference between a good entrepreneur, good CEO, CFO, looking at opportunities, keeping their finger on the pulse. I mean, I think, was it Ben Lewis? He's the CEO of River Island, and he was just talking about the footfall traffic in your local areas, the customer spending habits, the escalating costs, we've said, and guys, the other e-commerce sites like your Temu, your Shein, Amazon, they're doing a lot of clearing up. Again, sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel as such. The people that are doing it just now, just do it like them, or do it a little bit better, because you'll have other shops that we're going to probably hear soon in the UK, like New Look, Poundland. I think Mulberry was one of the ones that was on the list as well. Evolve. You've got to be like water. Find a way around it.
Yeah.
Find a way around it. And with a big global, or not global, but a big organisation like that, you would like to think they've got the brainstorming ideas there. It's just implementing them.
Yep. I mean, again, if you're looking to start a business, that's one way. It's always like how the letting that we've got, the Moonlight, that's how that started, is you're looking at an industry and a sector there that, in my opinion, just was nowhere near the service and the quality that it should be. Things were very much taken for granted. Tenants were a byproduct, even landlords, when you were... Because I tried 3 letting agents, and this is where the experience came out. This is horrendous. This customer service journey here is pretty horrendous. My tenants weren't happy. There was a lot of focus on the landlord until you handed the keys over for your property, and then it all dropped from there. And there just had to be a better way. That's how I felt. There has to be a better way to do this. So you're looking at things, what is actually working, and then where do you think you could improve things? And I can't remember who we were speaking to at the weekend there, but it was one of the restaurants. They wanted to open up like a 5-star restaurant, and they took the staff into one of the competitors' restaurants, and it wasn't really to have a go in any way at what they're doing, but they just wanted the staff to see what was working, but what do they think didn't work when they had the experience there, and that's where they could improve on what they were doing there. And I think there's a lot in that. You can look at your competitors, and there's definitely things there that you can look at and say they're doing that really well. That's maybe an improvement what we can make, but this is the stuff that they're not doing well that we can definitely make a difference in that customer journey.
I think that's a great way to doing it. It's like having a restaurant, and you're a standard restaurant, but then take them to the Savoy. Not taking 30 of your staff to Savoy, because it'll cost you a fair bit of money. But give them that idea, because some people are not taught very well face to face. They need a visual.
Yeah.
They need to see it in operation, and that's where it can change. You go, I want a bit of that. And it's, you know what, it's, Vicky says this all the time, it's small changes, it's never the big things. Always the small things. And I think with customer journey, client journey is so important, because that's how you retain your clients, how you make them feel. Even just take an e-commerce site, it has to flow. It has to be really, really easy to navigate around. Once it's becoming difficult, people go, oh, I'll go to the next one. People are getting a bit lazier, and they expect things to be done very, very simply for them. So these are the types of things that I hope business owners are listening to, and they're maybe implementing it, because it's not a case of giving up, it's a case of evolving and finding another way around it. So if you're in your journey in business just now and you're feeling it's a little bit difficult, stop. Just stop for a minute and realise, why do people buy from you? And what's the type of people that want to buy from you? And think about maybe your top 3 big clients. Where do they come from? What do they do? And try and get more of those clients.
Yeah, where do they hang out?
Where do they hang out? Yeah. Look at the clients that are taking 99.9% of your time with negativity, they're just a pain in the backside. Get rid of them. Because you're in business because you wanted to do it. You're in business because you were probably good at what you did when you worked for someone. And you're in business because you have a thirst, you've got hunger, you've got a drive. So keep that fire ignited and keep moving forward and enjoy it, because the negative or the downturn doesn't last forever. It always goes back up. And when you're at the top again, remember, you can go down a bit, but that's the enjoyable part about business. But when you meet people, or if you're in networking groups, meet these people and they'll have these discussions and you'll get something, you'll get a golden nugget from it. But you've got to keep moving forward.
And it's looking at what are the opportunities. In a recession, there's more millionaires made in a recession than at any other time. And that's because people lift their head up and see what's going on. Where's the opportunities?
Well, you fight. When your back's against the wall, you either crumble or you fight. You go, come on, let's be having you. Come on then.
And that's when buying entrepreneurs, that's when the best and the most stuff gets done, when your back's against the wall, because you're just forced into thinking that way. But within your business, there must be something that you can, there's another avenue there of revenue that you're maybe not tapped into, that can maybe bring in a recurring revenue stream that's going to just beef up your income for the months and the years, that just helps you sustain things a bit better. But multiple streams of income.
Multiple streams. Well, just let's go back to one thing now. How did that merger happen with Costa and Next? They've obviously seen, because look at all the coffee places popping up now. Was that Black Sheep or something?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few in Edinburgh. We've seen them at the airport there. They're obviously doing something. And retail outlets, if they're bringing people in, the parking facility, logistically, it's perfect. Okay? Now you're bringing people in, then you can actually get them to buy heavier items because they can walk out to their car.
And they will.
Then it's a meeting place for a coffee and a cake. And in that area, that whole superstore retail outlet, they're all helping each other if they've got the right people.
Clientele's coming in. They're bringing the clientele in. Both of them are bringing people in that then, that'll cascade into some other business sold and other. It's the same as there's what's the other one? Starbucks. They've got there's more than that, but the charging points for the electric cars. They've gone and put a load of them in at the car parks there, and that's again makes total sense. If you've got to go and charge your car, well, then why not have one when you can just sit and have a coffee while you're waiting?
100%.
So it's these that's the thought process.
Well, my landlord, where we're at, we're right next to Screwfix, so we already knew. We did all the tarmacking, got it all looking really, really nice. Screwfix are in 6 months and they started picking up. And then he was saying, I want to put the packaging, the drop-off packaging. Can you dig all that area out and we'll put a concrete slab in there? I'm like, yeah. I'm thinking, this guy's on it. And then prior to that, he did the charging points and he obviously got money for that. 4 bays. I'm like, you can take the 8 bays, so I'll do a deal with you. I'm like, that's That's brilliant. And you're finding people coming up for a bit of parking, maybe nipping at Screwfix, maybe pop in to me. So I put a wee sign when they're parking their car with a charger, went pop in for a copy of or a pee. Just so they could use the toilet. They don't feel embarrassed about asking to go to the toilet. But that's one way of just having that nicety. And it's just, small things, just thinking outside the box.
Yep.
So really interesting.
With that then.
This is your world. Shape it.
Or someone else will.